to Living Well with April and Shelley.
Where we're raising kids, eating right, spending smart, and living well. You know, April, February is usually the month of love, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and I can't wait to get my chocolates.
Me too, and I love flowers, and Johnny actually has a calendar entry on his phone because he can't remember those things that says do not come home without flowers. So I love getting flowers on Valentine's Day.
Yes, I love Valentine's Day.
But you know, February is also National Canned Food Month. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
There's lots of holidays for each month, and February has lots of different national holidays, but we're going to talk today about National Canned Food Month and why that's important for us.
Yeah, you know, canned foods, there's a myth that canned foods are not nutritious, but they really are. They have almost as much nutrients in them as fresh produce.
And you know, April, research actually shows that people who consume more canned food actually have a higher intake of fruits and vegetables than people who don't consume canned food. So that is actually good because canned food also retains some nutrients, and that's important.
Oh, that's great, yeah, and you know, canned foods are so easily accessible and inexpensive. That's great that, you know, you're still getting a lot of good nutrition out of it.
They are, and there's also over 1,500 different types of foods that are canned. So there's always going to be a variety, and you know, we're not going to get bored with the foods that we eat if we consume.
1,500, I never would have dreamed there was 1,500 types of canned food.
And that's a
I
lot.
probably have 1,500 canned foods in my pantry.
You did, well, you know what, Ripley and I worked to go through our pantry a couple weeks ago. She's 7 and she really loves to organize, and so that was a chore that I had given her, and she organized it very well. I can actually find lots of things in my pantry now, and we had food that we either weren't going to eat or was close to, you know, expiring, and we set that aside to either get rid of or donate.
Well, you know, I just noticed we've got all these canned foods here today, and it might be a good time to talk about, I think there's something in our community here in DeKalb County called the Blessing Box. Have you heard of that?
I have, and blessing boxes are in lots of different communities. We have several in Wilson County as well. Lots of people don't even know what a blessing box is, though, and so blessing boxes are an honor type system of food pantries, usually in different communities where people have put those up or partnered with a local business. It's typically outside, and it's typically a wooden type structure that also has a door with a latch on it. But this is where people can donate foods for those in need, and then people who are hungry and in need of food can go and take what they need. The motto of the Blessing Box system is to give what you can and take what you need. Isn't that cool?
Oh, that is really cool. You know, we've got a Blessing Box right outside the county complex building where our office is at. And then I believe there's another one down in Alexandria, I believe.
Yes, and then one in Alexandria is right beside the library, and there's also one in Liberty too, really close to the community center.
And we also have some food pantries I know of. I know we have the God's Pantry that's out on 70, and the Presbyterian Church here in Smithville has a food pantry, and then I believe there's one down in Alexandria at one of the churches down there. So.
And lots of churches do offer food pantries, and that's great. In Wilson County, we have lots of blessing boxes. The ones that I could find is at the Travel Inn in Lebanon. We have one on 231 at Cruises Tire. There's one at the corner of Stumpy Lane close to Southside School. There's one in Gladeville in front of 525 Designs. There's one in front of the Soloran Risk Management business on Pleasant Grove Road in Mount Juliet. And there's even one in Las Casas down from Brown's Old Store, which is not technically in Wilson County, but you know, we have a lot of people that live out that way and go to that blessing box. So that might be more convenient to the people out in the No Ring area.
Yeah.
And April, we have lots of food banks in Wilson County too. We're a very large county, and so we have lots of nonprofits, community organizations, churches that have access to food for people in need. But two agencies that I really want to highlight are our help centers. We have a help center located in Lebanon, which is the Wilson County Help Center, and we also have a help center in Mount Juliet, the Mount Juliet Health Center. But one agency that people might not think about when we're thinking about food is New Leash on Life. And that is actually an animal agency, nonprofit, but they have a food pantry for our dogs and cats, for people who may be in need and of need of food for their animals. And so that's something that people might want to think about donating cat and dog food. So that people in need, that still need to take care of their animals might need food for them as well.
That is such a neat concept. I never thought about animals, but they get hungry too, just like people.
Yeah.
I know here in our community, it has been a big help. It's been a big blessing to see the blessing box, and it's truly just been really nice to see people posting on Facebook and saying, I just put something in the blessing box and hope it brightens someone's day. And we even had a lady that was leaving flowers during the summer months for people to just pick up, and they were really pretty. So that brings up the question, Shelley, what exactly can you put in a blessing box?
Yeah, so one of the things that you need to think about mostly is weather, because these blessing boxes are outside. And so things like peanut butter, canned soup, canned fruit, canned vegetables, any canned item. Now, we're not talking about home canned products, okay? We probably don't want to put those items in there just for food safety practices if, we didn't use a tested recipe or something. So we're talking about commercially canned items for sure. Also, canned beans, even bags of beans, whole grain pastas. Let's remember to try to stick to healthy options, brown rice, and even toiletry items. We have some here on the table. We could also do toothbrushes, soap, hand lotions. Maybe you've, gotten some lotions for holidays or something. Maybe you don't like the scent. That would be a good use of that lotion to put in the blessing boxes. So those are we also want to make sure that everything is new.
Check the expiration date, so make sure
Yes.
something's not out of date.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're not going to eat it, as far as it not being safe for your family, don't give it to someone else and expect them to eat it as well. So there's also things that we need to think about not doing, okay? And so not putting food in a blessing box that needs refrigeration is important, so no perishable foods, no expired foods, like you said. Let's not put leftovers in there. So maybe you made a big lasagna and you got some leftovers. That's a good thought, but probably not the best idea. Again, talking about food safety and making sure that we're keeping our friends that we're trying to bless safe. And then also things that have packaging concerns. So maybe we had these beans left over. I'm actually making beans tonight for supper, but maybe we had some beans left over and we put them in this zip top bag. Let's not put these in the blessing box or the food pantry. Let's keep these for the next time.
You want anything that's not had the potential to be contaminated in any way.
Yes, unopened items. And then lastly, no baked goods. Anything that's not going to fare well in the weather is probably not a good idea to put in the blessing box.
Shelley, another thing that's kind of been happening, well, I guess really since January 1 is it's a brand new year, and this time of year people start thinking about submitting their taxes and getting their tax refund.
Yes, they do. Johnny and I actually have talked about that recently and set our date to get ours done.
Right, yeah. So I know a lot of people will turn in their taxes. They look forward to that tax refund, but really you should try to not get a tax refund. I know most people are not used to thinking of it in that way, but you really want to just keep that money, extra money that you're given, and use that for your own expenses throughout the year. So what we always recommend people to do is, you check and see what you're submitting, on your W-2, and determine if you're sending too much each month for your taxes. And the IRS does have a tax calculator that you can go into, and you can kind of calculate and just see what you're. I know sometimes that's a little confusing to do, But, you know, there's some ways, if you are still getting a refund, and it is nice to get that refund. I have to admit, you know, it's like, I feel like I got free money. And one of the first things people will usually tend to do is, you know, go blow it on something. I've been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. You know, whether it's going on vacation or, like you said, a shopping spree.
But what are some of the things, April, that we should do with it?
Yeah, so probably some, you know, wiser options with your tax refund. You could use that money to pay off some debts that you have, whether it's credit cards or loans or whatever. Another good option is to save up for future expenses that you might have, the typical expenses that you have each month. Or just put it in a savings or an emergency fund. We always have some kind of emergency or curveball that happens to us occasionally, and just having somewhere to go if you've got an emergency. Could have car problems, that sort of thing. So those are just some wise options to do with your tax refund that you get.
And so if we need to make changes on our withholdings, we probably need to contact our employer to do that, don't you think?
That's true, yeah. You'll have to submit something new to your employer and determine how much you want taken out each month.
I think those are great tips. I know that Johnny and I always talk about what we're going to do with our refund if we get one. Of course, the goal is to not get one, but you know, sometimes we get one anyway. And I think communication among couples, if you are a couple, is important so both people are on the same page, right?
That's so true, yes. If you've got somebody else on here, if you're filing jointly, that's very true. Mm-hmm.
Great tips, April. Thank you. Well, April, until next time, don't forget, we're raising kids, eating right, spending smart, and living well.